Now, for our curious and enthusiastic globe trotters, we now head over to Switzerland to talk to Sandra Klaus, who's a Switzerland travel expert, and in fact the owner of Zurich Tours and City Tours, rather, and co-founder of Virtual City Tours. And she'll be telling us about how to make a potential trip to this country worthwhile. Sandra, very good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm very fine. Thank you.
Thank you so much for connecting with us so bright and early in our respective lands. There is so much to talk about now, looking at an amazing country. Let's start with Switzerland being the birthplace of the Red Cross, the largest humanitarian network in the world. How does that add to the country's heritage, tie into something that I would imagine you're very proud of?
Yes, for centuries, as you said, Switzerland has offered asylum to religiously and politically persecuted people. This is the foundation of the country's humanitarian tradition. It grants asylum to victims of persecution, and almost 40% of the permanent resident population has a migration background. So we're quite a melting pot in Switzerland, which is nice.
And the world needs that right now. We know that there is obviously the United Nations office in Geneva. That must be spectacular in itself. And again, that reinforces how globally connected you are.
Yes, I think, in my opinion, it's very spectacular to have the second headquarters of the UN in Switzerland, in Geneva. The building complex, which is called Palais des Nations, so this means the Palace of the Nations, can be visited in Geneva in a tour, in a guided tour. And I think this is certainly worthwhile a visit, and a very imposing institution for sure.
I'm told that the cities have their own very distinctive charms. Can you tell us a bit more about city life there?
Yes, you know, many cities of Switzerland, they have grown historically. Some of them are thousands of years old, and they still have intact, complete old towns, because Switzerland was never destroyed by the wars. This is certainly one reason for its charm. The other is that Switzerland is a small country. We have only 8.5 million and 41 square meters. Nevertheless, there is an enormous density and variety of culture offerings, and pretty much everything is in walking distance.
I mean, looking at a lot of the pictures, it looks like something out of a fairy tale. It looks beautiful. Now, obviously, one part of the natural beauty of this area, the Swiss Alps, obviously a lot of celebrities brat about it on social media. Just how phenomenal is that? What makes them so breathtaking and obviously such a popular choice for A-listers in particular?
So the uncultivated landscape and also the peaceful atmosphere is certainly unique up in the mountains. And once you have stood proudly on a mountain peak, it is certainly an unforgettable feeling, a deep feeling of freedom too. And by the way, hiking is the most popular sports and leisure activity in Switzerland. More than the half of the Swiss resident population hikes regularly.
Well, I think there is a tie that binds us, because we obviously have our own mountains, slightly different, no snow on top, but something that we are very much connected to. It's part of our DNA here as well. You mentioned, obviously, the prevalence of hiking and the unbelievable nature there, the stunning lakes, the picturesque views of these amazing mountains. What are some of the best natural scenery kind of spots that Switzerland has to offer? Where can you find those best experiences?
I think for sure the region of Jungfrau Joch in the Bernese Alps, where you see the eternal ice, where you can touch it even, and where you have 4,000-meter high mountains just in front of your nose. This is extremely impressive and one of the most breathtaking sceneries of Switzerland, even for Swiss. But of course, there are more, many which are not so famous as Jungfrau Joch, as for example, the Tessin. This is a part in the south of Switzerland. There you find wild original valleys where the time has stood still a bit. And I can also recommend the area around the Three Lakes in the west of the country, an area with a lot of history, beautiful, idyllic villages, and wine too, which is important, and a really good spot.
I've picked up two things, because wine is also important to us here down in the Cape. So I think that connects us as well. And also that we'll probably have to come and stay for about 2 months to be able to touch on everything that you have excited us about today. Absolutely beautiful. Clearly, I'm talking to the right person. Sandra, please stay with us. We're going to continue our chat in just a moment. And I suggest you guys at home do the same. More travel talk coming up to inspire you.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Now you can see how excited I am. We are traveling back all the way to Switzerland this morning and connecting with Sandra Klaus, who is a Switzerland travel expert, owner of Zurich City Tours and co-founder of Virtual City Tours. And she has already given us a wealth of information about some of the best spots for tourists to check out, and it seems locals to enjoy as well. Sandra, thank you so much. Welcome back. This is something that I've got to ask you about, because this fact blew me away. The highest life expectancy in the world. What's the secret? What's the magical recipe? Is the fountain of youth found within the Alps? How are you guys getting that right?
Yeah, I have to disappoint you. There is no secret recipe for this. The high life expectancy is probably more due to the fact that we have one of the best healthcare systems. So together with Germany, Switzerland ranks second and third after Japan. So this must be the reason.
And when you look at the quality of life, obviously you have the highest nominal wealth per adult as well, clearly doing okay. What makes Switzerland such an economically thriving nation? What feeds into that?
Yeah, I think the answers lie in the past, in the history here too. Life in Switzerland was not always so comfortable, as today for a long time it was considered a poor country. Yet the 20th century was quite peaceful for Switzerland, and the country was not affected by the major wars. After the war, Switzerland was able to enter the world market with its intact production facilities. And peace was also an important condition for the spectacular upswing in wealth management in the 20th century. So the country was seen by many as a safe haven. In short, the political and economical stability of Switzerland is and was really crucial. And I would say also the excellent educational offer, and thus the well-trained professionals certainly help as well.
Yeah, I think that's certainly being held up as a guiding light for us, that education is key, especially in the context of a developing nation. So now, all of that being said, how costly would it be to plan a worthwhile, and I stress a worthwhile, trip to your beautiful country? I'm sure any trip there is going to leave you wanting more, but how much are we going to have to spend to make sure we get the best of Switzerland?
Yeah, I think I can tell you here an amount. It is very difficult to say because it really depends on your ideas, the duration, and your demand. And it's true that Switzerland is one of the most expensive countries in the world, but I think it's also possible to have a cheap vacation here too. For example, with camping or with hostels, or even with a home exchange. Maybe you find a Swiss who wants to travel to Cape Town and offers you his apartment for exchange.
Yep, and we'll leave a few bottles of wine just waiting there as part of the trade. I like that. Finally, I'm going to wrap up and ask you, when is the best time to visit and experience the very best of Switzerland?
Yeah, I would say maybe in our spring, so now, April, May, June, and then again in our autumn, September, October. Mostly the summertime, so July, August is here a little bit too hot. Only in the mountains you find some fresh air. And if you like skiing, of course, then it would be December, January, February.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. Again, I reiterate, clearly we have spoken to the right person. I'm in love, and I would imagine a lot of people out there are really putting this on their bucket list. Thank you so much for sharing your amazing country with us this morning. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, and greetings to Cape Town.
I think you need to get out here and raise a toast as well. I think we'd love to host you. But an amazing opportunity, I think, to see how the other half live. An incredible country that has got so much going for it. What a place for a refreshing break if you ever needed one. Switzerland, I think, is well known for so many hidden gems to be explored, so many well-known, amazing attractions, and knowledgeable tour guides like Sandra are the right people to go to. So I suggest you connect with one and you get there.